You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, J.D. Church, Chris McFeely, and Chris Triplett.
And you are listening to Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, joined, as usual, by Chris Triplett, Chris McFeely, and Nicole. Welcome. How are y'all doing today?
Not too bad.
Not bad, not bad.
So it's Fanboy versus the 5-week month, as we find that there's basically just scraps to fight over. For the
and
last
the
week
sad
month.
thing is I had a lot of comics come out this week. It was like my big week, and there wasn't a lot.
No.
You know, I mean, it was like a lot of
Yeah.
I had one of my regulars, and I just picked up a bunch of new ones that were on the shelves to see what was out there.
Yeah.
Your willingness to accept.
I went to my pull box, and they handed me like one comic, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
Jimmy Olsen.
okay.
I
No,
had
but
that was it.
but I'm glad that you bring that up. So now, actually, Spider-Man was supposed to be. We're going to talk about Spider-Man at the end of the show, but Spider-Man was supposed to be in there, and somehow that didn't end up in my pull box. Maybe it shouldn't have. But anyway, we'll talk about that. So I did pick up what I'm calling the one-shot / mini for Jimmy Olsen. I say that because, or a trade actually for Jimmy Olsen, because it's the trade essentially of all the minis, right? I mean, that's
I think it's all of the minis plus the ones that didn't get to in action.
Correct.
I think it finishes up the story, which is why I wanted it, because I kind of wanted to see how it ended, but you said
And
hate it.
I saw this on the shelf, and it was sort of sitting there, and I thought, I've heard that's kind of good, and it's $6, but I'll, pick it up. And I pick it up, and I start reading it, and I get about 4 pages in, and I go, I don't give a fuck about Jimmy Olsen. I do not give a flying shit what happens to this character. And
Didn't you need to come to that realization before you bought the $6?
You would think, but 4 or 5 pages in, and Chloe broke up with him, and he's hanging out with his bros, and they're just talking, and I'm like, fuck me.
It gets better.
I cannot read this, so I might have to come back to it later. Maybe it's just today, but man,
like when the aliens show up, the aliens did like our atmosphere because it makes them high. Yeah, the comic gets better.
I hope so, because dear God,
our planet is spring break for aliens. That's awesome.
I was totally gonna read this for the show today, and I just could not do it. I was just like, screw that. But in better news, I did go to a Borders that's closing and got the Vulture and Morbius part of the Gauntlet for $7.50.
Ooh,
so
good stuff.
yeah, half off that. So
Nice.
it's the only mainstream trade that was left. Everything else was there was 2 Star Wars trades and some other crap. Otherwise, you may not be familiar with Borders overseas. I don't know. Anyway, they're a crap bookstore that
They're going out of business.
Yeah, they decided to do online retail about 5 years after everybody else, and so it pretty much killed their business model. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about news, because WonderCon was this weekend. So
Yes, news.
yeah,
Nothing too huge out of WonderCon now this weekend. But a couple of interesting new little bits and pieces. Well, there's one big thing. We'll save that to the end. A couple of new bits and pieces out of WonderCon. First of all, speaking of Jimmy Olsen, doesn't really have anything to do with Jimmy Olsen. I don't know why I said that.
What? Nice, good one. Start strong, sir.
Okay. Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer wrote that Jimmy Olsen one-shot, and we already knew Nick Spencer was taking over Secret Avengers after Brubaker, after issue 12, and he's going to write their Fear Itself crossover. We knew that. But it has been announced at WonderCon who's taking it over after Spencer, and it's been revealed it's going to be Warren Ellis.
Huh.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing 6 one-shot stories with a variety of artists following Spencer's Fear Itself tie-in on Secret Avengers. So I'm going to get that book.
Yeah.
Which I was really not planning on doing. Well, no, until I heard Spencer was coming on, and I've actually yet to read anything by him, but I've heard plenty of good things. So I have more. I have Morning Glories in the stack beside me here. I will get to it. But yeah, I'm gonna keep getting that now for it. That might actually save that book, which I just think has been massively underwhelming. Even though all of the online press just seems to love it, you know. So that's one bit of news. That's about it. What else we got? DC has announced a new upcoming line of one-shots called Retroactive, which is going to do a couple of series. It's going to do Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, The Flash, and Justice League. And each of the series is going to have 3 one-shots. And each one-shot is going to pay homage to the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And each one is going to be made by a classic creative team from those decades.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they're bringing back... yeah.
There's a way to come out of retirement.
That's one of those things that's either going to be brilliantly awesome or horribly terrible.
Well, the 1990s Justice League issue is being done by Giffen, DeMatteis, and Maguire.
Oh, God. I'll pass.
Thought that might prompt that reaction for me. I don't know if we've actually had any... who's doing that one? Hang on, I'm just looking through this as I'm sat here. Louise Simonson is going to be doing the 90s Superman.
Huh.
And John Bogdanove, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I know the guy is going to be drawing it. Marv Wolfman's going to be doing the 70s Superman.
Cool.
Just scrolling through the article here to see if they've actually named any more, but I don't know how many they've actually named.
You know what would really make this work is if they were like the price of what they were in those decades too.
Yes.
Awesome.
50 cents. Yes.
70 cents,
Like
but
$1.
Yeah.
Then you could...
Okay, here we go. The Superman one-shots will be Marty Pascoe and Carrie Bates on the 70s. Jerry Conway on the 80s. Dennis O'Neill... Dennis O'Neill for the 70s, Roy Thomas for the 80s, and William Messner Loebs, that's good, on the 90s for Wonder Woman. Carrie Bates on the 70s, Messner Loebs on the 80s, and Brian Augustin on the 90s for Flash. Denny O'Neill for the 70s, Len Wein for the 80s, and Ron Mars for the 90s on Green Lantern. Hey, Brian will want that.
Yeah.
And Len Wein on the 70s, Mike Barr on the 80s, and Alan Grant on the 90s for Batman. So, they will be published throughout July and will run at $4.99 a piece. Which will contain each one will contain a new 26-page story along with 20 pages of classic stories.
Oh, okay. So that's not quite double size, but
not quite.
Guess I'm getting that Ron Mars issue, and that's it.
Yeah, there might be like 2 of those that I want. I mean, it's I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. I mean, there's not too many of them that lap out at me, but then I wasn't around for DC in those time periods, so they mean very little to me, you know.
I came in, I think, at the end of that. Like, I have like the Emerald Dawn, like a couple issues of that, but that's about it for 80s DC for me. So.
Yeah, DC's going a bit miniseries tie-in happy at the minute. Anyway,
Good Lord, I know. With of course, everything with Flashpoint. Hey, speaking of which, what's the thing that's coming out next week for Flashpoint? Do you know, there's a pre...
I don't
Flashpoint.
remember reading there was anything coming out next week.
Yeah, my retailer said that he qualified for some sort of special issue or something. And he's getting like 80 issues of it. It's like an advance deal for Flashpoint. So I should have it.
I really don't know.
Wow.
I think I'll have that next week. So, anyway, sorry. Okay.
Not sure.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, but no, man, I've been just looking. I'm having to sort out my order for the tie-ins for Flashpoint. It's just ridiculous, honestly. I can't see. I mean, just in case anybody doesn't know, Flashpoint, 5 issues. First issue is in May. And the only mainstream DC books that are going to have tie-ins to Flashpoint are Flash and Booster Gold. That's it. So, no tie-ins in the first month. I'm guessing no tie-ins in the last month. And then across months 2, 3, and 4, 3-issue miniseries run. It's a nice, solid structure. that it sort of emulates the way Blackest Night was quite well structured as a crossover. But it seems to be taking what I'll call the Marvel method, and rather than publish the tie-ins to these things in their own comics, it's all miniseries. Because of course we know Flashpoint is about an alternate universe at this point, and we were speculating a while back that it might be Age of Apocalypse style thing. And it basically is. It's an altered timeline, what the world would be like if. Well, we don't really know what didn't happen, but you know what I mean.
Well, assuming it's more. But my hope is that it's going to be multiverse based. I mean, do we know that though?
No, it's all one world.
Well, I mean, but like within the multiverse, though, right? Because the multiverse exists now, and if
well, no, I think the intent is that the Flash wakes up and the timeline has changed. The Reverse Flash has done something to the timeline.
I'm sure this will become Earth 53.
Wouldn't that be? Damn, we've got all this multiverse out there. Why can't we play in it? Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the 16 miniseries launching all at once. 16.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
that
there's
is
no
insane.
way to read all that. I mean, just no way.
Not get any of it.
That's not even mentioning the 4 one-shots. And that's just four one-shots in June. I'm guessing
Do they
there's probably
honestly
going to be...
expect people to buy each and every one of these?
I don't, you'd have to be a real devotee to buy all of them. I assume there'll be 4 one-shots in every month too. But that's it, It's like, even if it was... I mean, Marvel's doing lots of crossovers for Fear itself, but there's only about 3 launching in the first month and maybe another 3 in the next month, Yeah, there could certainly be 16 altogether by the time the thing is over, but the fact that they didn't shove them at you all at once just makes it look better.
I'm so afraid for this.
It's very hard to swallow whenever there are...
I just think DC is going to lose a ton of ground on this.
Yeah, I really do. I can only see it biting them in the ass with that many.
It cannot be high quality stuff.
I don't know.
Even
there
if it
are
is.
a lot of very good creators on this stuff, though. It's Azzarello Risso on Batman, Scott Snyder on Superman.
But are they only taking the one, or are they working on multiple projects? If they're working on multiple projects, it's going to be kind of rushed.
Jeff Johns writes 3 issues a month.
Yeah. Jeff Johns isn't doing any of these tie-ins, but most of the minis, I think, were actually done by one team. There might have been 1 or 2 that shared a writer, but by and large, they had their own teams. So I'm not saying they'll be bad or anything, but I got to tell you, very few of them appeal to me. I'm going to check out Scott Collins' Citizen Cold, but that's about it that really grabs my attention.
I kind of see like this being something where the people who are fans of those individual characters will pick up their tie-in, but I certainly don't see people like, unless they're completists, like going in to grab every single issue.
But who do you be a fan of in order to purchase Frankenstein and the Creatures of the Unknown?
Exactly. I mean, that's,
Hey, I'm a fan of the old Universal monsters. That'd probably be one that appeals to me.
So,
it sounds like a Grant Morrison concept,
Yeah.
so maybe you got to be a fan of Grant Morrison to get it.
Remember we were talking about Monster Squad the one time. I'm like, yeah.
Well, that one is written by Jeff Lemire, so that is it's got a good creator behind it, But I mean, there's nobody on there that I would actively point out and say bad creator, don't want, well, except for James Robinson's miniseries. But it's still like 16. That is just freaking crazy. Meanwhile, as I was saying last week over Marvel, they're unveiling maybe 3 a month or whatever, but I'm buying more than I'm not at this point because they all sound good. Man-Thing, She-Hulk, Frankenstein, and Howard the Duck in a team-up miniseries.
Yes. I mean, how can you not?
When does that come out, by the way?
That one is out in June.
I think I need to get that.
What else launches that month? That month they're launching The Deep, which seems to be the Defenders by any other name. Doctor Strange and Namor. The Deadpool one by Dr. McNinja writer. And is there anything else launching that month? Well, Alpha Flight launches that month, but I think it's just starting out with a Fear Itself tie-in rather than actually being a Fear Itself miniseries because it's 8 issues long. So it'll be the Fear Itself will be over before it finishes. And then before that, the previous month, what do they got? They got Youth in Revolt, Spider-Man, and the home front. So yeah, I think it is just about three minis out of these first 2 months, you know, and I think I'm getting about 80% of them. So I don't know. I mean, I'm biased, like, but still, I just think that whenever you drip feed them in like that, it comes off better than just going here 16, buy them or don't. We don't care.
God. Let's get on to better news.
So anyway,
got sidetracked there. What do we got? Well, speaking, actually, here's your segue. Victor Gischler is delivering Fear Itself, Hulk versus Dracula.
Yeah.
Once again.
I was thinking the other day, it'd be great if the Hulk beat the crap out of Dracula.
He can take it.
So that's something else.
Dracula's immortal. You gotta remember that.
Yeah, but the Hulk is unbeatable. So
it's just a battle that never ends.
What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object?
Oh no!
Well, it is abundantly obvious.
He surrenders, JD.
Yes,
he
as we learned in All Star.
Exactly. It's awesome.
It is obvious at this point that the Hulk is one of the worthy. So that should be for a more interesting fight.
Really? Because Marvel said that you couldn't trust that the picture was what it looked like, as they showed, like, the green guy.
Yeah, well, there's enough of them running around, but just looking at this picture for Hulk versus Dracula, Hulk is all hammery and glowing lines.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's being drawn by the guy that drew She-Hulks.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, he
Nice
does
to see him
good art. Yeah.
Ryan Stegman. Yeah, nice to see him getting some more work. So behind that.
Yeah, he was like the spot out of that series. His art was good.
Mm-hmm. He was the one. And Gischler's drawn a couple of Dracula things before, connected in with the. I think he did some stuff tied in with the Curse of the Mutants. Did he write? Yeah, no, he wrote Curse of the Mutants. Yeah, God, I'm getting mixed up. Yeah, that's what happened. He wrote Curse of the Mutants. So that's another funky sounding Fear Itself miniseries that catches my eye a lot more so than whatever Flashpoint is doing. We're getting a Red Skull miniseries to fill in the guy's life, because the spotlight's going to be on the Red Skull family after Fear Itself. Not that this is actually a Fear Itself. This is by Greg Pak, which I guess is probably taking its cue from the Magneto Testament miniseries that I believe Pak wrote for the X-Men a little while ago. Let me just check and make sure I'm not talking out of my arse. No, I'm not. Excellent.
Darn it, I wanted to see that.
Yes, Greg Pak did in fact write Magneto Testament. So, seems to be following on a similar theme there. That seems to be most of the new announcements we've had out of WonderCon. I'm just giving a quick glance over.
I don't know if it's big news or not, but I was kind of interested in this, that IDW is getting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's the other thing. I knew there was something that was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, that's happening. That's a thing.
So I wonder...
yay. More properties for them.
I mean, will it be any good is all I'm wondering.
Well, the thing is, I'm wondering, how does IDW get these big properties?
Because they pump out comics.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because they're willing to pay the price for the rights, and then they put comics out. Because when you own a property, I mean, when you're doing like the property comics like that, I mean, and McFeely can correct me, but typically like you pay for the right to produce that material. So if IDW is willing to say, hey, we'll pay this price or whatever, and then pump these comics out, those companies are more than happy to let them do it. So because it's just revenues for them. So
well, from what I saw, if the links were right and they were showing the pictures and stuff, it doesn't look too bad. The drawings.
It looks kind of like non-typical, but it'd be nice to see the Turtles actually have some kind of concentrated media. Buzzword.
Something.
Zeitgeist.
Oh yeah, there you go. Pull out Zeitgeist.
Some kind of concentrated media just approach with the new cartoon coming up from Nickelodeon sometime soon.
Well,
it's
then
like
they have the live action film thing too.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah, I mean it's just the last time the Turtles had a comic tied into their last media push. That was Dreamwave was doing it, and that didn't end well for anybody.
No.
So it'd be good if they could consolidate what they're doing with the Turtles again, get them back out there, and And also, hopefully it means that they'll be able to collect the Mirage stuff, because those have been all over the place and never really collected properly. Mirage started a new line of collections shortly before they gave up. They sold the rights to the Turtles, and that went out of print as soon as it was published. And I managed to get a hold of one with some difficulty. But
so how long do you think their origin story is going to be?
That's the thing.
You think?
A page, one page.
Well, because most people know the origins of the Turtles by now, don't they?
You see a canister hit a jar, turtles fall in the sewer. That all happens in one page. I mean, that's all you really need.
Yeah,
just
silence. Your theme music, you know.
2 pages of silence with just all that.
It's basically All-Star Superman, that one-page origin. That's what it is.
You could do that. I mean, where the canister comes from is part of the bigger story. I mean, the thing about like the 2003 cartoon was that it really just drew everything from the Mirage comics. I mean, it diverged later, but it drew a lot of stuff from the Mirage comics. Awesome.
God, I love that.
So good. But it was so faithful to the Mirage comics for such a large part of its run. It makes you. Well, we'll have to expect something pretty new from this one if they want to not just be retreading old ground. So it's hard to know what to expect from it exactly, because we may be looking at a whole
different villain. Ooh.
Don't talk heresy now. We gotta have
you gotta have Shredder.
I am the Shredder. Oh, 2003 Shredder was awesome. Of course, they'll never make a better Shredder than that Shredder. So you never know. New villain might not be a bad idea, but I'll still write angry letters if I don't get Shredder.
See, the Turtles are near and dear to my heart, so I'm kind of excited and scared at the same time.
Maybe they should introduce a new turtle. Oh, wait, no, don't do that.
I'll suggest that you remember that it is IDW, and in general, just set your expectations very low.
Well,
and then
why do you give us a little bit of gold, though?
Yeah, expectations could safely be higher for it now than they would have been a couple of years ago. Generally speaking, I think IDW have their act together a little better now than they did a few years ago, as far as licensed properties go. Just as far as like catching errors for the trade after them winding up in the published comics or whatever, or just a general. I mean, their Ghostbuster stuff's been pretty terrible, but all signs point to that improving. You know, and they've read more things. I don't know how their Godzilla has gone over. That just started this month.
You know, things that improve are great. You know what improved? The Green Lantern trailer.
Yes. Thank you for saving this.
That's the big one that we were saving.
Segue!
Yes.
4 minutes of Green Lantern.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That if you've not seen it,
go watch
say
it.
that it's wow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now.
Was anybody left with the impression that they just watched a 4-minute pocketed summary of the entire freaking film?
Yeah, except for how it ends.
Yeah, except for the ending. That seemed like that was a solid 90 minutes out of 2 hours that I saw in that trailer. Just ripped.
So you're saying you don't have to watch the movie now?
Well, I'm going to, but I almost do get the feeling like I don't need to, because I really got the...
like the Thor trailer that we got. The Thor trailer that was massive and had so much in it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's probably... I mean, it's probably a lot of highlights, but there's probably still a lot, too. There's a lot of story that's not there.
Have you seen any of the trailers on the big screen yet?
Nope.
Yes.
Okay, they look good. They look really good on the big screen.
Yeah. So the only thing that was kind of like was the Gatling gun, the chain gun.
Yeah.
I was like, awesome. Everything was awesome and great, and then that happened. I was like, how couldn't I don't think that. Okay.
Sure they can.
That was the only point where I was like uber fanboy, like
He's not Kyle Rayner, so he can't make anything complicated. So it's either big fist or gun.
Well,
that's all he can do.
And that was like my point, and I said that, and my wife Amanda, she's just like, "Honey, it looks awesome. That's all that matters." I know. It's like she's like, "That's all people care about. It looks cool." And Brian pretty much said the same thing, because I talked about this with Brian as well. And he was like, yeah,
Because
but...
Kyle would make like a giant mech robot out of like Gundam Wing or something complicated as hell.
Yeah, but see, but him and John, like, that's the kind of stuff that they do because they're like artists and architects and stuff, and they have the ability to pull that like complex stuff out. And but like Ryan said,
the only thing I expect from Hal is a big hammer after the fist and the gun. Is he gonna have a big hammer? Yes, he has a big hammer. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like that, like for an audience was like it would just be like amoebus forms, and they would just be like, no, he's got to have an awesome Gatling gun. Like, okay, we'll give him the awesome Gatling.
You're gonna have a whole core of Green Lantern there who could potentially be making really awesome things. So to limit the things that your character, like the titular Green Lantern, can actually make to hammers and fists, whenever these other guys around him could potentially be doing massively impressive things, that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I know, and that's why like totally I had to like. I had the geek fanboy moment, and I had to like step back and be like, no, it's okay. I can just accept this.
I don't know if there's a moment to have, man. I don't think that's worth having a moment over.
Yeah, well, you know.
So, is there any doubt in your guys' mind that there's going to be a sequel?
Probably not, man.
Didn't they already greenlight the sequel? See what I did there? Greenlight.
Oh yeah, there'll be a sequel. Are you kidding? Of course there'll be a sequel. It'll be.
I don't get it.
I do though that now it may have been April Fool's, but did I hear that they were talking about doing another Justice League movie?
Yes.
They've said they want to reboot Batman and do a Justice League movie.
I think
no way.
First.
I'm like, I think here's the question: which will happen first, the Justice League movie or Duke Nukem Forever?
Duke Nukem Forever because it's shipping soon.
It's supposed to be actually shipping, so I know, but it's still like close. Like,
yeah.
Like, which is going to be solid. So, no, don't worry. As I read Emerald Warriors, I'm going to have an even worse fanboy moment. So get ready for that.
Prepared for that.
Man, yeah, let me tell you.
We also saw a new Thor clip this week. Did anybody see that?
I didn't see it.
No, I missed it.
It was just a really short one, but it was of Thor finding himself on Earth, like waking up. Jane Foster and associated characters finding Thor in the middle of the crater after he falls to Earth. Did you see that?
No.
Nope.
For God's sake, what's wrong with you?
Sorry.
I want to see the actual movie. I'm trying to, like, pace it back a little bit.
Yeah.
I found out we get Thor a week before you guys over here.
God, you suck.
God, I hate you.
27th of April.
What Nicole said.
I'll have to sit on it for a week.
God, are you getting the Justice League?
Yeah,
movie
we're going to tell you to sit on it. That's for sure.
Oh, I got that already on DVD.
You need
Why
to
do
sit
you
on
guys
it.
do movies before us? Doesn't everyone know America's supposed to be number one?
Kenneth Branagh made it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. That's got to be Kenneth Branagh. You're like,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's got to be Homeland first. Anyway, okay, so yeah. But anyway, Green Lantern trailer stuff, good stuff. Thor.
Yeah, generally speaking, I mean, the mask still looks crap.
Yeah, it does. But thankfully, he took it off for a little while. So, which was really weird for Hal, because Hal always wears the mask. But whatever.
Oh, please. I'm not sure if everything we saw was 100% finished or not. Because it definitely had the look of it a few times that it wasn't. But Sinestro looked great.
Oh,
And he sounded great. Well, that looks great.
And did I miss that it's Jeffrey Rush as Tamar Ray?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yes, it
I didn't
is.
see that.
Yes. Because we're watching the trailer and my wife goes, "That's Jeffrey Rush." I'm like, holy shit, it is.
Yeah.
I wonder who else they've got doing funky voices.
No idea. They didn't. Kilowog didn't talk, did he?
Have they said who's doing Kilowog?
You don't know?
Michael Chiklis? No? Okay.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'm gonna look up a cast list quickly, see if there's any word of things I've missed like this. Wow, Jeffrey Rush, that's awesome. Well, we know Mark Strong's playing Sinestro. Peter Sarsgaard's playing Hector Hammond. Tamara Morrison, Django Fett is playing Abin Sur.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. No, it looks like Jeffrey Rush is the only thus far confirmed voice artist on any of the. I wonder who'd be playing Salak or any of the Guardians, because they've really sat on the Guardians.
I know. I was like, where are the Guardians? We have to see the Guardians, but no.
Did we see him in the trailer? I didn't see him.
No,
I didn't
they
see
weren't
him.
there.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. Maybe
I
they're
know
saving him.
that was, and that's Are they in it? Is going to be the question.
Oh, I'm sure they will be. They probably just want to avoid Smurf or Avatar comparisons.
Yeah, that's probably true. But we are milking the news here. This is awesome.
Well, did you? Speaking of voice actors, they got Leonard Nimoy to be in Transformers.
Yeah, that didn't turn out to be April Fool's, did it? I sat on that for a few days too. I was waiting for okay.
Waited that one out.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it, but I remain confused, as I was 2 years ago, as to why everybody seems to have such of a boner for getting Leonard Nimoy back on Transformers.
I don't know.
Why everybody was going on about how they hoped he would be the Fallen.
He wasn't even that great as Galvatron. I mean, let's.
But he's
voice for 80 minutes.
That's
24 years ago. Like,
but Nicole,
why does everybody put such significance on him? I don't get it.
But that's my point, Nicole. He's Spock. You know what I mean? It's like he was Spock as Galvatron, and he'll be Spock as Sentinel Prime. So it's like.
So is he going to claim that he wasn't in this movie too? Is he going to forget about this movie also?
If he's lucky, you know what? He'll probably pull, and I hope this doesn't happen, but he'll probably pull like an Orson Welles and die before the.
Oh, don't say that.
Shut your mouth.
Shut up.
Oh,
I'm just saying it could happen.
Shut up.
don't curse.
I don't hope for it. I can't make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, and he seems like it'd be a pretty solid choice for the type of character, and based on what we've read from the character in the comic books so far. But it's like I don't get why everybody was like, "Oh, you have to cast Leonard Nimoy about it." I don't get it. It's like he had one association with Transformers once
that he doesn't even remember.
Well, I mean, he claims. I mean, I can understand the push behind getting Peter Cullen or Frank Welker or the hope that Corey Burton would be doing it, even though we know he's not now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't get.
Just not going to claim to be the Primer Prime.
Oh man.
That's probably why they've been able to get away with putting a Sentinel Prime in this film. Now Hasbro thinks the name is marketable after animated.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not the old Sentinel Prime. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
right.
to sum up, I don't get it, but but whatever.
We'll probably dig into that more on RFC too.
Tell me David Warner gets cast for Shockwave, and you'll have my attention.
They haven't announced that yet, have they?
No, I know they haven't, but tell me that, and that's when I'll look up and start getting excited.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Any other news? I
think that's all.
What Wonder Woman changed the color of her boots? I forgot.
Oh
yes,
her boots are red now.
New.
And they care about the fan base.
And the pants are much better. I just.
They need to change her bracelets, though.
No, they don't.
No, the bracelets are fine.
Her bracelets are silver.
That's fine.
Yes,
The rest of her outfit's gold.
Woman's
That's such a fashion faux pas. That's such a fashion faux pas.
Damn, now that you mention that, it's going to bug the crap out of me.
The rest of her outfit's gold. Her bracelets should be gold.
None of this really matters because this show is not going to succeed, but they changed it for the fan.
Dude, they milked 10 years out of Smallville. 10 years.
I don't know. I think this is going to...
That's the other thing, Booster.
Booster, yeah.
We saw a picture of Booster.
How could I forget that?
Booster and a blue demon behind them trying to murder him.
Trying to, rape him or something. But no, Booster, and let me just say, the logo patches, nice.
It looks like exactly what you would expect a Smallville version of Booster Gold to look like. That's almost exactly what I had put together in my mind.
Yes.
Now, he's going to be on an episode, though, right?
I am.
Yeah, but I will watch that episode.
I am so pumped. I cannot wait. Cannot.
When's
JD's cleared his
22nd.
calendar.
22nd.
Ages away.
Is that when it comes back, or does it come back before
the
then?
week before that, I believe. And I may have it switched. It may be the 29th is when that episode, and it comes back on the 22nd. But
yeah,
Booster's only one episode after when it comes back. So
okay,
yeah, it's however that works out.
That is only 5 days before I'll be watching Thor.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Anyway, moving on. Asshole.
Yes.
Anyway, no, we love you. So, 1 week ahead of us.
Woo!
Triplet.
Yeah.
What'd you read?
I read. Well, I read Amazing Spider-Man, but we're saving that for the end, so I won't talk about it now. I read Action Comics, which I'm just going to kind of generally talk about because, I don't want to spoil it for you guys. But I'm going to talk about something that I haven't been talking about for a while, Walking Dead. Because I feel like it needs to be kind of discussed and see what you guys think and everything. And it is major spoilers for those at home. If you're reading Walking Dead, just don't watch this episode. Skip or, don't watch
Jump
it
on, however many minutes. We'll probably put it in the show notes. This is end of issue, massive freaking spoilers for what happens. It will ruin your life.
But,
wow. I mean, there you go.
Wow. Just a quick general speculation on Action real quick, because I know we're just doing one book a piece. But this is Action number 899, which is supposed to be sort of the end of Paul Cornell's run. I mean, it's kind of like the end of the Lex Luthor theme, because 900's the big anniversary issue, and Superman's back. It's no longer Lex Luthor's book. And don't say yay. This has been good stuff.
No, I mean yay sarcastically. Yay. Superman's back.
And so I've really been enjoying these issues of Action Comics. But this issue I'm thinking okay, if it's all been leading to this and there's a big thing that happens at the end, then I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to talk about that. But I'm thinking that if it all led to this, which is going into the next issue, it's going to be a big thing that Superman has to deal with. I'm a little bit disappointed. I mean, because we get all the information about what the Black Power is and why Lex is looking for it and who's the boss of the Lois robot and who's controlling her and there's a big fight with some dude. A dude comes back that we've missed for a while that was pretty awesome. It happened at the end of the last issue, and then there's the realization of what that power does and what gets conjured. And I mean, I like the issue, but I'm a little bit disappointed in it. And I wish I could talk more detail on it. Maybe I'll go back to it later because I'd like you guys to maybe read it. And I McFeely says he's going to pick up the trades. When you get the
first hardcover right now.
Yeah, when you get the full thing and you get it read and caught up, let me know and we can just talk about this. So
this is DC, so I'll ring you next Christmas.
Okay. Yeah. By then I would have forgotten.
Well, maybe you'll have forgotten why you didn't like it, and it'll be happy happiness. God, I can't talk.
But the positive thing is that I am very much looking forward to number 900 because I mean it's a little disappointing, but the situation that's set up for 900 looks like it could be potentially awesome. So that's Action Comics.
Nice.
Yay. Walking Dead number 83. The issue in question.
They're up to 83? Oh my goodness.
They're up to 83. Oh,
I'm really behind.
And they got lots of stories to turn into a TV show episodes. They'll be working on those for you.
That they'll heavily edit. Okay.
They'll heavily edit. Yeah. To give just a little bit of a backstory, Rick and his group's now basically in a community where it's kind of closed off so that the zombies can't get into it. And everybody in the community is trying to live like nothing's happened. And so Rick and his group gets, inducted in this community. They are happy for a while. Well, in this storyline, this storyline's been called No Way Out. And this is part 4 of No Way Out. And you can pretty much guess that if there's a comic called Walking Dead and it has a storyline called No Way Out, some horrible crap's going to happen.
Horrible crap is a staple of The Walking Dead.
And basically, a couple issues back, a horde of the dead, basically, just mile long herd of these things has broken into the community, and Rick's group is pretty much split up. They're all over the place. They're hiding out in the houses, trying to figure out a way out because these things are everywhere, and if they walk out, obviously they're gonna get murdered. So in this issue, Rick basically, if you've seen Walking Dead, the TV show, and you've seen the second episode of it, you'll remember Rick was trapped in Atlanta, and he basically had a situation where the only way he could get by the dead was by hacking one up and putting their guts all over him, and it's all this nastiness, so that when he walks by them, they won't smell that he's alive. He'll smell like he's dead or something. Well, Rick does that in this issue. He decides that, hey, that's maybe a way that they can get by them. And he kills one of them and hacks him up. So, like, him and his son and Michonne is a member of his group. And some of the new people in the community are with them, and they're basically trying to walk out of the, through the dead people like they're, pretending like they're dead or something. Basically what they did with that second episode of the TV show. Well, everybody is, like, basically losing their mind in this town. So the guy that was kind of like the mayor of the town, after seeing what's happened, he's pretty much lost it. And at the beginning of the issue, it looks like he's going to commit suicide, like he's going to kill himself. He has a gun against his head, and he's, I guess, thinking about he's going to kill himself. Something's going to happen, but he doesn't actually do it. Doesn't go through with it. So this guy's like out in the with the dead out there, and he's got his gun, and he starts shooting at them. Just shooting them in the head and everything. Like he thinks he can help Rick and their group get by. And you don't shoot a gun at the zombies because they're going to notice that. And these suckers just start swarming. So in the issue, the group that Rick is with, they start getting attacked. And there's this lady that Rick's got kind of he's got feelings for her. He's gotten kind of close to her in the last couple of issues. She gets attacked, and she's getting chewed up right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. And they're all holding hands. So she's like holding on to Carl, which is Rick's son's hand. And Rick, at this point, if you haven't like read Walking Dead, or if like your only exposure to Walking Dead is like the TV show, Rick is a character that's very changed from like very at the beginning of the series. He is he's basically a basket case is what he is. I mean, he's lost his mind. And he decided in the previous issue that no matter what happens, he doesn't care about anybody else. He doesn't care about anybody else's kids. He just cares about his kids.
Excuse me.
So as they're trying to get through, this lady that's like holding Carl's hand and Rick's holding Carl's other hand won't let go of him as she is being torn to pieces by the zombies. So Rick decides, okay, I'm going to hack her hand off with a hacksaw and pull Carl loose.
Is that a hatchet? It looks like a hatchet.
Hatchet, yeah, I'm sorry. It is a hatchet.
Nice.
Good, yeah.
Nah.
But yeah, the point is, hacks her hand off. And that's not even the gruesome thing that I wanted to talk about. I mean, that's pretty gruesome. But, as far as Walking Dead goes, I mean, that's
pretty standard, right?
Pretty standard, yeah. So, going back to the mayor guy that's shooting his gun, going crazy and shooting his gun, he eventually gets taken down with the zombies, does some wild shots.
Well, that's been a long time coming. Now, this is your last chance, folks. Turn back. No, spoilers.
Now. And Rick checks to see if everybody is okay. And then this is, as I was saying before the episode, this is something that like one of the guys at my comic shop read this issue and was really ticked off after he saw this page. So Rick checks to see if everybody's okay, and you turn the page, Rick's son has been shot in the head.
Wow.
Oh.
And it looks like he's still alive, but his right eye is, if you can look at that, his right eye.
Man. There's a chunk
of
head.
Yeah.
Graphic as can be. And this is a kid. I mean, this is a kid, and I think that, I mean, the reason I brought it up is, like, is there a point in which, I mean, can comics can stories go too far? I mean, is that something too far?
I thought it went too far when the one kid killed the other kid.
Yeah, frankly, The Walking Dead has done much worse things to kids than this. I don't know what did your comic guy only start reading it after he started watching the series? The Walking Dead has done much worse stuff to kids than this.
He's been reading it for years. He says he's loved the comic, but then he
didn't object to the shooting of the newborn baby.
Nope. But
or the one kid like killing the other kid, right?
But
or the top of a child's head being cut off by a maniac with a razor.
But all of that, was that all off page? Because I want to say some of that was off page.
Well, we didn't see the blade going in, but we saw the aftermath.
I mean, we didn't see the bullet going through his head either, but...
Yeah.
I think that the issue here was that basically it is a 2-page spread of a young boy with a hole in his head.
Well, I think that's the spread of a
I still think there's been worse.
Yeah.
Carl's innocence is a long distant thing, you know.
I mean, yeah.
Carl is a child in physical form only. Carl has had to turn into a man in a perturbing amount of time, and
as far as the character, he's totally different. He's not a child in mind and child in only body at this point. But I mean, it was the only reason I wanted to bring it up, because typically I don't talk about Walking Dead, because it's not because I don't like the comic. I like it. It's just I feel like, well, it's something that people should read. I don't really want to spoil anything. But I read this. It just seemed like a big thing, and I just felt like, well, this
totally, yeah. I mean, it's the ultimate proof of what's always been said about Walking Dead, which is that nobody is safe. The last time we got something like this was at the end of the prison storyline when the governor came back, and so many characters died. Including Rick's wife and newborn daughter. I'm just reflecting back on.
Him too. Chopped off. I can't remember what was his name.
Tyrone.
Tyrese.
Tyrone.
I think
the black guy.
Yeah.
There was a tie in it.
So who wrote this triplet?
Robert Kirkman.
It's Kirkman. He writes every issue.
Well, Cassius was asking if Russell T. Davis wrote it. It sounds like a Russell T. Davis kind of thing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just think The Walking Dead has definitely done worse. But this is I mean, it's been going on so long, you started to feel like Carl was safe.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the way that they play the story, I mean, Rick would die before something would happen to Carl. I mean, Rick has gone through so many horrible things in order to save his family. You kind of felt like, well, yeah, nothing bad's going to happen to Carl. And then, like,
since the prison, Carl has been the only thing keeping Rick sane.
Yeah.
I can't even conceive of what could happen. I mean, I could very well turn around and imagine the next issue as the last, because I don't know how Rick could go on after this. He has put so much of his sanity and his ability to function in the continued welfare of his child.
Well, at the end of the issue...
And that is why this is so interesting, because it's like, holy shit, seriously, what happens next?
Well, at the end of the issue, he is taking Carl to... their doctor there in that community, but dude's been shot through the head. I mean, really,
he doesn't look alive.
I don't know.
And if he is, he's not going to be the same.
I mean, he at this point, he is alive, because he even has a little caption where he says, "Dad." He's just kind of like this last gasp. Yeah.
I mean,
and it's kind of heart. Oh my gosh.
Skull missing there.
And it's kind of interesting because, like in the previous issue, all this crap's going on. They're all separated. And Glenn is talking about how, something bad's going to happen. He says, like, despite all the stuff we've been through, he says, I don't think I'm going to survive this. And they have that, like, oh, is Glenn going to die? And then it's like, oh, no, I'm worried about Glenn. And Glenn's not even in this issue much at all. And then, boom, out of nowhere, Carl gets shot.
Well, that's just with The Walking Dead. I mean, when The Walking Dead is at its most shocking and gripping is when stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a lot of customers who've come in to pick up The Walking Dead after the TV series. For the first month or two after the TV series, I couldn't hold on to the first couple of volumes of The Walking Dead. And, I would have conversations with some of these people who were just interested, and they would get a couple of volumes in, and I would just say to them, like, I mean, you won't believe some of the stuff that happens in this. If you've seen the TV series, you won't believe how many of those characters in that TV series that appear like they could be regular mainstays of the cast won't be there forever.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
people from the start of
cast
were there for so long and then died anyway. Anybody can die in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, at issue 83, the cast is totally unrecognizable to the cast from the first issue.
I don't think anybody expected that they would really kill Carl yet. But this is just as far as the story goes. I mean, this is the next way to change things up. I can't even imagine where it'd go next.
It's terribly interesting. I mean, I can't wait to read the next issue.
Terribly interesting and interestingly terrible.
And interestingly terrible, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it up mostly because of that, because like I said, it kind of shocked, my comic shop guy into writing a letter. I mean, he's seen all these horrible things.
I would be interested in seeing.
He's seen all these horrible things in all of the Walking Dead series, but this one thing shocked him enough that he wrote a negative letter for Kirkman.
Yeah, I can't understand that.
Well, but for someone, I guess, that reads it regularly, right? I mean, Carl, other than Rick, is the only other main character that's been there throughout, right?
Glenn's still
there most of it.
Andrea's still there. Michonne came at the prison.
Yeah, she was pretty early on. She was like, 3 volumes in?
Okay.
Yeah.
Maggie, as far as impact, probably since maybe Rick's wife and baby die, that's probably got to be...
Oh, yeah, well, Carl and Rick were the only characters in it for a while after that. They were on their own.
So, as far as impact, that's got to be...
Yeah.
So I can understand that from a gut reaction. It'll be one of those things that initially I think a lot of people just like that will be like, oh my god, I can't believe... And then, next year, it'll be like, yeah, that was sort of interesting, and then other stuff happened,
Yeah.
I can't imagine anything more terrible than this right now, though. No, I really can't. I can't imagine anybody else dying that would be as shocking as this.
And
that's game-changing as this.
That's sort of the thing, though, too, is, and maybe that's the question, what is the long-term viability of this with Carl gone? The only other character that you can have to kill off is Rick.
Yeah.
And that seems to be your POV character, so...
That's when the series ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
But I just want to talk about it, and 84 looks to be really interesting. Maybe I'll talk about it, too, because of what's going on.
Follow up, yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nicole.
Oh, my turn. Yay. Okay. Well,
Help
the
us.
one that I'm reviewing this week...
There's some crap on it.
It's craptastic. Let me tell you. Okay, well, before I went into the comic book shop, I actually read what this was about, and I got excited about it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out and actually look for this. Boy, was that a mistake. Okay, it's Butcher Baker, the Righteous Maker. And there is a warning on the back for mature audiences only, which is very good because right now I could only show you the cover. That's pretty much what I could show you.
Oh, come on.
You want to see something? Okay, so you open up the first page. Oh, wow. There's a silver penis door handle.
Come on.
Starts off as
That's awesome. I need one of those.
So basically, you've got this old superhero, which was kind of created somewhat Captain America style. Back in the war, they wanted to do the super soldier thing. Well, he decided, and he was this really great guy. He did all these great things, but he decided to go off the deep end and go rogue and just live his life how he wants to. So the agents are trying to find him. And so to get into it, they have to open up this, you see this penis door handle right there. First page. So this is the one good thing about this comic. The secret agents that are the people that are trying to go recruit him back are Dick Cheney and Jay Leno.
What?
Wow. Who are the two most random people you can put together?
Yeah, it works, but that's the only good thing. So what happens when you open the penis store? Well, you run into a big orgy. And that's basically what you see in all these issues is good old Butcher having this orgy with various amounts of women, a lot of nudity in this, just let you heads up there. Various sexual positions. They even include a line of cocaine and a tube of lube leaking.
Is this a Charlie Sheen biography?
I don't know. I'm just giving you a heads up. So this is the next page. So Dick and Jay see this, and they're trying to talk to him about what they want to do. And so, okay, he's like, go ahead and talk to me what your offer is. I'm just going to do what I do best here. So he keeps on having sex with all these random women, again, in various positions.
God, did Garth Ennis write this?
It was Joe Casey and Mike Huddleston. I don't know who those guys are.
Joe Casey's good.
Yeah, well, so Dick and Jay are trying to talk to him about what they need him to do, and he's like, "Okay, you've got 3 minutes before I, go on to my next round." And so they try to explain to him. Of course, they're in awe what's going on, and he gets back at it with 3 various women, which has a good close-up of their pubic hair.
Okay, I think we can dial back on this now.
Wow,
That's what I'm saying.
This is amazing.
Okay, so basically, he goes
Underbelly fan base.
Yeah. So they back into his flashback and about how he was back in the day, and all of a sudden the art changes, and it's that's basically what I can say. And then all of a sudden he's in the present time, but he's not in the room. This is where it gets confusing because they're in 3 different time settings, but they don't tell you when it's changing, and so you're trying to guess which present time it is. So he's getting pulled over by a cop too. He runs him off the road. And then they go back into another time where he is actually doing the assignment for the agents to blow up this supervillain agency. And then all of a sudden you're back at the orgy, and he's talking about what he just did to the agency. So again, it's poorly written. It's disgusting, first of all, some of the artwork. And it's pretty bad when the writers pretty much tell you, it says, this is what the last page was. The art, where the writers could talk about stuff. It says, okay, maybe next time there'll be some actual content in the pages. That's the wording from the writers.
Wow.
Something you could actually sink your teeth into, something with meaning attached to it.
Okay.
What the very first issue is supposed to do for you?
Here's the interesting question. Why did you buy this?
Because when I saw it online, it was just talking about a rogue. Basically, this description was a rogue superhero coming back into his place, and I was just like, "Oh, that sounds kind of good." It kind of had that Captain America feel to it. So I'm like, "Okay, that sounds." And then so I picked it off the shelf, didn't even flip through it because I'm like, "Oh, it sounded good." I got it home. I'm like, "Oh, hello."
Yeah, that might have bore a flip. I gotta tell you now, I hadn't heard of this one before, but I've just been doing a quick Google round. This definitely looks like a distinct Your Mileage May Vary book, because every review of this I can find across the first 2 pages of Google are 4 and 5 star reviews.
Well, I mean,
people be loving this.
Let's take into account the
It must
age
be big for the 13-year-old boys.
Let's take into account the relative age, sex, and experience of the people reading comic books.
The artwork alone changes 4 or 5 different times. Sometimes it's not even colored well. The lines are very heavily inked in some places. Sometimes it looks like storyboard art.
But when your demographic is people between the ages of 18 to 28 who generally live in their mom's basement and are male.
Maybe I'm not the demographic for this because
it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, it's just like I was kind of embarrassed to be reading it. I'm
I can see why, definitely. You're worried somebody would come into the room and look over your shoulder. I wasn't the one! No!
I didn't! I don't know! It fell!
Sometimes I take my comic books to work.
I read it for the articles!
Yeah, don't take that to work, please.
I was writers to actually say, maybe there'll be some content in the next issue.
We should work at the post office. That's got to be par for course, right?
Yeah.
I would say if they've actually written that, I would say it's probably a pretty self-aware approach to what they're doing there. I can't comment on the art. I mean, I've read it, so I can't say. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Needless to say, I will not be picking this up. This is how I feel about it.
Whoa!
Look at that.
For those without the benefit of video, listeners in the podcast,
She's destroying the comic. Wow. We do not recommend burning or destroying any sort of book on this show.
Wow.
This is
not
little.
reviews, opinions expressed in this portion of the podcast.
This is like the reason to watch the video.
Wow.
But I could use this to pick up my dog's shit, but it's not even worth that, okay?
I want to read this now.
You piqued JD's interest. He doesn't want Jimmy Olsen, but he wants that comic.
Yeah, screw Jimmy Olsen. This sounds awesome. I want a penis door handle.
I said you might tore it up one. How's that?
God. Okay.
Well,
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks, Nicole.
Wow.
Oh, I am so glad
don't-
we got you on this show. Oh,
I
man.
don't care for this one, okay?
That was priceless.
suffice it to
I'm not
say,
the demographic for it.
That
So
That was epic. That was the most epic moment so far on Fanboy Versus.
we rip it
Today on Fanboy Versus, not only did we completely destroy a comic book, but we also said zeitgeist. So who knows what else may happen.
other Skype.
So Emerald Warriors happened.
All right. What happened in that chapter? I will never pick up.
Move on.
Yeah.
So this is part 3 of 4 of the Green Lanterns.
Now, I gave this a quick leaf. This looks like it's actually an important chapter in this story.
And you
Damn
would
it.
be mistaken.
Okay. Okay.
So, okay, and I'll explain why.
I took this from the fact that mind gone blank. Hal was in it.
That's why you're mistaken. So anyway, I'll explain, and I think you may agree, but we may disagree. We'll see. So the beginning of this issue opens like basically the other two. It's just with the characters that are in the story. So we open with Kilowog, Guy, and Aricia flying back from the psychic guy that they had been fighting, where all the people were in the. Basically, the guy who was doing the psychic experiments for Krona. And they basically have a recap chit-chat until the Parallax and Purity hit. So this is basically set timeline-wise, exactly with the other parts. Now, even Kilowog and Guy see the Flash, but Aricia is the only one that actually gets taken over, and they try to stop her, and she ends up leaving. As they're pulling a WTF, then like half of the core goes flying past them with all of their rings chanting Oa. After a brief altercation, basically Kilowog sacrifices himself to get Guy out, and the Green Lanterns like capture Kilowog. Okay, so at that point is when Guy basically tries to contact other people. My favorite part is that he calls for Ganthet first, and then Kyle, and then John, and then Hal.
Awesome.
So, like, the absolute last person that he tries to get a hold of is Jordan. And, of course, Jordan is the only other one that's currently online, because as we learned from last time, Ganthet had his hand blown off, and Kyle and John both removed their rings. So Hal's the only other one, and they decide to meet at a place that they call the Greenhouse, which apparently is Hoth. Some sort of ice world with polar koalas. Yes.
Dude, did Mogo show up in this? I mean, have we seen Mogo yet since this stuff went down?
No, not yet. I assume that'll happen though.
Okay.
But no, they had arranged for a rendezvous point on some sort of ice planet. The rest of there's a big chatty piece where basically Hal and Guy talk about stuff that already happened. So if you've only been reading Emerald Warriors, and you haven't been reading Green Lantern, and you haven't been reading, any of the Brightest Day stuff, or if you haven't read the previous issues of Emerald Warriors, this sort of fills you in. So, I mean, that's not terrible, except it sort of goes on for 4 pages, and then they basically just start yelling at each other about how much the other is crap, and which thankfully is preceded by 4 pages or so of them beating the shit out of each other. It's great.
Wow.
So much so that there are
something for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, what's more classic than Hal and Guy fighting?
Batman and Guy fighting.
and Kilowog fighting? I don't know. But yeah, basically it's the age-old argument from Guy, and what's happening is that they're sort of being corrupted by the Parallax impurity. Even though it's not taking them over, it's making them really angry and crap.
It's too bad Hal can't make a construct of Batman to knock Guy out.
One punch.
No, there's like a couple of good lines in here because like Hal totally decks Guy, and basically for Guy starts getting onto his cheese because Hal killed everybody, and so Hal decks him, and Guy comes back, he like knocks him about 5 miles away and into a glacier, and he says, "Beware my freaking power, Guy Gardner's might." Yeah, and then, like, flies into him. Then there's like 4 panels of silence fighting underwater. Yes. I don't know. Anyway, and then like there's hockey constructs from, I think that's Guy. Yeah. One of my more favorite panels is Guy pulls out like 4 constructs, and it's him in like his various costumes throughout the years.
Yeah, I saw that. That was cool.
Which is awesome. Because I think one of these is Warrior. One is like his like 90s costume with like the kind of weird awesome haircut. One's is like Yellow Lantern version. So, anyway, cool stuff in there. And more shit from Guy, like it should have been me, blah blah blah. Which is like most of what all of this is. It's just them like recounting the past as they fight each other for no reason because they're taken over by the yellow thing, which they eventually figure out they've got to take off their rings. Warning, fanboy moment incoming.
Here we go.
This is going to be bad, y'all. Really. This shows you what.
Come on, I just had my fangirl moment.
This is how bad of an asshole I can be coming up right here. So Guy and Hal start fighting each other as they're like depowering their rings so that they can take them off. And as they depower them, essentially they go back into their street clothes. Now, Guy, who the fuck knows what he was wearing last time? The problem is Hal. Hal is wearing jeans and a shirt and a flight jacket.
Yeah.
Like he always does.
That's what Hal always wears.
That's what Hal
when the rain
does.
comes up.
Yes, but this is a problem.
Why is this
Because
a problem?
Hal hasn't had his ring off, which they made a point of in Green Lantern, since Sinestro blew up him and Carol's planes. So he was in a flight suit the last time that he had clothes on.
Uh-oh.
Created by his ring.
Continuity police has come to check this out.
I told you.
No.
I told you. I don't know what to think. Anyway,
I
it doesn't matter.
propose that you hush.
I warned you all, okay? I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Although they do happen to, ironically, be dressed warmly for being on an ice planet, so whatever. But anyway, there's even a little bit of, like, residual fighting, and then they basically just decide, hey, we have to figure out what we're going to do after they take the rings off, and that's it.
Wow.
Well, see, that seemed pretty important to me because that's where Hal's going to be in the next issue of Green Lantern.
I would guess so, unless they pull crap and like rehash part of this in Green Lantern, which I would not be shocked if they did.
Man, it'd be great if he was still in space, just like running from the other Green Lanterns. That'd be great. That's how the
They
next
didn't
issue
do anything like that with the Sinestro Corps. So, I mean, this certainly seems more important to the overall direction of the thing than Corps did last week.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was kind of because that's kind of a middle bit. Well, other than Ganthet's hand blowing up, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So, I mean, yeah, as long as they just like pick up from here with Green Lantern 65, I'm okay with that. I mean, it at least explains how Hal and Guy get together. So, yeah, you get that. But I mean, as far as like real interesting content, no, it's just the same old crap that Hal and Guy always fight over. You know, who should have been first? And who
You're
was the
extra
real
miserable this week, aren't you?
God, I don't know why. I am kind of a downer this week. But hey, there's a great picture of Aquaman for Flashpoint in this. So
I believe it's been confirmed Jeff Johns as Aquaman will be an ongoing.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
bet
think
it'll
it's
last
the
8 issues.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
is like the Flashpoint one, and he looks really angry. And he has like a buzz cut, which is even cooler.
Emperor Aquaman, as he's being called.
Yes. First he floods the world, then he
Rules it.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, part 3, War of the Green Lanterns. Brian said he's going to catch up on Green Lantern. I'll hold my breath. So, anyway, McFeely.
Man, I got nothing. Seriously, honestly, I got a couple of books, but I
Come
just
on,
have
Tiny
nothing to say
Titans,
about
Tiny
them. I mean,
Titans, or anything?
Come
no,
on, you
not
can
even.
destroy it. Destroy
I
it.
got,
Like
I got. No, I don't have anything bad. I got Osborne, and
Yeah.
you know we've raved about Osborne on this show before, and I could sit here and I could do it again, but I'd just be telling you everything I've told you before, that this book is good. There's nothing particularly new or startling. We get the answers to a couple of questions. It's the story moving forward. It maintains the high level of quality that the series has established so far, and I still believe you should read it. We got Secret Avengers, which, I was saying earlier, I've just consistently found Secret Avengers fairly underwhelming. Although this one actually I thought was actually slightly better than recently, because I've just been looking forward to it. It involves sadly it is a flashback to wacky wartime antics. So and yet I still found it more entertaining than what we've had recently, as we found out about Captain America and John Steele in World War II. But ultimately, I find it hard to really get into anything that's happening in Secret Avengers now, because I know Brubaker is going to leave before he wraps up the mysteries of the Shadow Council. So, why am I bothered?
So what's the future of this book? Do you think it's gonna just get canceled?
I don't know. It's not going to get cancelled because it sells too much, and the online polls always rank it the best Avengers book.
That's crazy.
It's just not.
It's my least favorite book that I get
yeah,
right now, and that's even saying with that issue of Avengers Academy that I bought, which I bought one issue of.
New Avengers Secret.
Yeah.
In that order. But I'm definitely going to stick around for it. Nick Spencer coming on the Fear Itself crossover. Many good things heard about him. Still haven't experienced him, but this will finally be my chance to have Morning Glories here. We'll get to it. Heard good things. Iron Man 2.0, Jimmy Olsen, other things from Marvel. He's Marvel exclusive now. And then Warren Ellis. Hell yes, I'll go Warren Ellis. Then we get the final issue of the first opening arc of Matt Fraction's Thor, which is a kind of disappointing conclusion because it's just weird. Basically, spoilers, Thor defeats... it's a large part of it is just a fight. And there's, just continued lovely art still. And nice moments like where... was it? Did somebody, poke Odin in his eye? Hilarious.
That guy did something to his eye.
He spat in Odin's eye. Yeah, Odin's empty eye socket, and his scream echoed across the 9 worlds. That was pretty awesome. Nice. Yeah. But ultimately, it comes. The story ends when Thor attacks the World Tree, which is manifested as a result of these World Eaters invading. And by attacking the World Tree, he grounds it, and in grounding it, he traps the World Eaters within the confines of the rules of reality, which they weren't operating within before. And in doing so, the World Tree removes them as an immune system might remove an infection. The World Tree is now rooted on Earth, and that's it. Ultimately, I keep saying ultimately, when the villains sum up the whole thing by describing it as somehow by attacking the quantum bridge we'd been marauding across, they trapped us in their space. It's even they don't know what happened to end that story. Yeah, wow. Somehow. And it turns out, wherever they are, it is just, I can't even remember the names of these freaking characters. It is just the king, his queen, and his vizier. And wherever it is they've wound up, though, Tyr and Balder are there. So that's nice. Tyr and Balder are still out there.
Oh, and what's going on with before we leave it? What's going on
there
with
is
Kelda?
An interesting little cliffhanger with Kelda, who is seen wandering off into the desert at the end of the issue, answering the call of some unheard voice. Yes, I love him. Please keep talking. Can barely hear you. Tell me more. Tell me more about saving the one I love from hell itself.
She's looking pretty rough, too.
Yeah. Something presumably to do with Bill. But frankly, I kind of wish writers would leave that alone now. It's
I thought it was done.
Yeah,
though,
I thought it was done too. We got that, and then Gillen came in and did that bit where Loki manipulated her into the poisoning of Balder as well. And it's how much more can we wring from this poor girl's grief as a story point? Balder is Bill is yucking it up in Valhalla, drinking, feasting, and wenching 24 hours on day. I mean, And then the other thing, it's a slightly disappointing ending, basically because I had to reread the pages a couple of times to properly grasp what had happened when the villains couldn't, so that was, yeah. And then disappointment is the theme, as kind of the theme of this show, wouldn't it? As the only thing I could even form an opinion to talk long enough about is Avengers, which is so dull. Nearly every page. No, in fact, I think not quite every, but almost every, bar one or two. Every page is a splash page. Every page is one giant panel.
And I love John
Romita. My reaction, Oh, yeah.
I love John Romita Jr.'s art, but God, his Watcher is ugly as sin.
Oh, I hate with a passion, consistently since I was wee.
What the hell am I looking at?
What is that?
What is that?
Funny Watcher. I mean, this is not something he has made up. Like, the Watcher's appearance changes. You just have to go back and look at, like...
Wait, put that picture back up. Let's see if I... Okay.
Put it back up again.
Wait, let me get a look. There we go.
What is going on?
Wow.
I mean, this is not something he's created or anything. I mean, the Watcher used to change appearances depending on what Kirby or Ditko or Romita was feeling back then. I mean, you did have. I mean, I vastly prefer the more slender, bulbous-headed Watcher. The very alien looking. But the brawny Watcher is not. It's not with precedent. But I really fucking hate it. And frankly, since it has fallen so far out of fashion, I'm at a loss to explain why he's brought it back for the story.
In some panels, it looks like the Kingpin is watching what's going on. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Oh, that one really does look like the Kingpin.
It's like, what's the Kingpin doing at an Avengers meeting while they're fighting the Hood? I mean, what's going on?
Maybe he took the day off.
Yeah, it's that's a sticking point, but it's like just in general, like the one-page panel thing made me think it was 1994 and Doomsday was going to come stomping through. Yeah. This story is not that big. No. Stop trying to make it out like it is. Yes, it's about the Infinity Gem. I could sum this up for you. I'll tell you what happens in this issue. The Hood, with his 3 Infinity Gems, fights Red Hulk, Thor, and Namor for the last one, and the Red Hulk manages to steal one off him, and he runs away. Then he defeats all the characters who went off to get the gem from the Danger Room in one panel and gets it. He has a silent psychic duel with Professor X and beats him because they're better than everybody. And then he goes off to Infinity to get the last gem. And that's it. That's the page. That's some of the issue. And I mean, yeah, you know what? It's the Infinity Gems. The Infinity Gems are so fucking played out at this point that they're not. Yeah, exactly. They're not the cosmic threat they were. And this is not a story that is as big as this comic desperately wants to present itself as being.
I mean...
And I thought this story started very strongly. I really did. In retrospect, that may have just been because I was pleased to see that it was about the Red Hulk. All the press had said Red Hulk joins the Avengers, and that's really not what's happened in this story at all. He's just he's just shacked up with them for a little while to sort this problem out. Perhaps and the first issue involved him getting pasted, which I was not averse to either. So
I think my problem that's been with the issue with the comic has been basically the Hood. I mean, I don't care about the Hood. I know that he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be all this stuff happened before I was reading, but I don't care. And then hopefully with the last page of this, that's going to change in the next issue. Hopefully he's gone.
Well, I strongly encourage anybody to hunt down, I think it's available in collected form still, to hunt down Brian K. Vaughan's original Hood miniseries, and specifically after that, Jeff Parker's Dark Reign, the Hood miniseries, which took what Bendis did with the character in New Avengers and tried to realign it, quite successfully, with what Vaughn had originated with the character. Those are 2 very good books that are well worth your time to read. So, this not so much. Okay, last page spoiler, folks. what the fuck is Thanos doing still looking for the Infinity Gems? I'm pretty sure
I thought he was dead again.
I thought he was busy over in the Thanos imperative or whatever.
I thought he died
sure.
again, honestly.
I don't know if he was dead or again.
It's his
or
evil
not.
twin.
I kind of think he was too, but I thought at the very least Abnett and Lanning had moved him beyond this. I mean, I got to the end of the penultimate page, and the Watcher with his fucking massively purple narration that runs the length of the book goes, "For he is not the only person in the universe desperately looking for the gems." And I said, if I turn this page and it's fucking Thanos, go look at that. Hey.
Would it have been okay if it was like
It is-
Howard the Duck or something? I mean, would that be
would have
better?
been better.
No, but it is just so massively bleh. I mean, I think this chapter and the last chapter were the first ones where I genuinely responded with bleh to this story, because I think it started well.
Since the
admittedly,
beginning of
because-
this story,
Well,
it's been for me.
I enjoyed the start because, well, like I said, kind of biased opinions on what they were doing, and I was pleased to have my expectations subverted. And the promise of the Illuminati getting outed and what would result from that definitely kept me interested for the first half of it. But the fact that nothing has come from that except 22 one-page fight sequences, is just utterly cold. I can't imagine anything interesting that will do anything to preserve the good work Abnett and Lanning have done with Thanos, which I admittedly haven't read, but I don't have to read it to know it's going to be better than whatever happens here. Because
a new writer can fix this. A new writer, I think, could fix
Ben
this.
just read about Thanos in a handbook or something, and that's what he's employing here, rather than actually paying any heed to what anybody else did. I'm annoyed by this comic on an artistic level in the form of the Watcher, in a structural capacity as far as the single-page panels with the Watcher narration, and in a plot capacity in that there is none. Just, seriously, it's going to have to work to improve itself on the last issue. Thank God New Avengers remains entertaining.
I mean, even Hickman included the Infinity Gems and Gauntlet, whatever, in the
Yeah.
But even that was sort of like a joke because they were gone within
We got 6 million of them. Check it out,
Yeah.
It's so you can't structure a crossover or a big event thing around the gems anymore. They're played out to hell and back.
In the 90s, it was over.
So nice. There were power-ups in a video game in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good game.
So,
Well, it doesn't get much better from here, does it? I don't know. For me, it didn't anyway.
It's been a bad week, hasn't it?
Well,
well, this is quite a good comic to round us out here.
Yeah, it was a good comic.
was it?
Wait, I thought that was last week's comic.
No.
That was this week?
Yeah.
That's this week.
That's why I didn't pick it up. I thought that was last week's.
Oh,
Oh well.
Oh,
All right, McFeely. I'll let you talk about this because I'm definitely kind of blah on this issue. So go ahead.
You're blah? You're
Yeah.
blah?
Why are you blah?
Well, Brian and I were talking about this earlier, and I kind of agree with Brian's point, which is that it sort of reads like an annual. And my point is that it's sort of, not only is it late, it's sort of
yeah, okay, I mean, I'll
kitschy.
give you that.
It's just sort of,
I
I don't
guess
know,
this
it's
is
all the
that.
different artists and stuff, it's just disjointed, and doesn't really impact me.
It's a bit. It's an.
But it's not
well,
bad though. Is the thing? I mean,
No,
maybe it
it's
is like an annual, but it's actually entertaining. I think.
I mean, I wouldn't say annual. It's more of an anthology. Well, what this is for the listeners, this is a complete story. Again, it's another 32 whatever pager, start to finish. No main and backup feature, just one solid story. In which Spidey comes to the Fantastic Four following the Human Torch's death, and they sit down and they share 3 stories about the Human Torch. Each story drawn by a different artist. So it's a little bit anthology, and I guess I can see why somebody would call it
Annual.
an annual. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
My brain is not working. And it's like the individual stories. There's no real message to each of them. They don't show a different side of the torch or anything. They're just at least or if they do, I guess maybe I'm not picking up on it. But they're it's just fun. It is a little kitsch, but
It sort of hits the point each story about how Spidey is more like a brother.
Yeah, but
each story is about
that makes
Spidey and the Torch and one other member of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But the two things that I have a problem with, though, is that for the current storyline, for one, it's late because this takes place.
Yeah,
supposedly
this should have come out
before.
last week, and FF should have come out this week.
But then
because this
Yeah,
is
I was
the
going to ask you that.
But then it contradicts
This-
stuff that happens in FF. So
So
it's
What
just
did it
kinda-
contradict in FF?
Ben, the way Ben reacts to Peter, because Peter shows up at the house and Ben doesn't even talk to him, and it's like in this, Ben's like, "I'm your brother, I'm with you," and it's like,
That's
that
true
doesn't
because in
connect
FF
with-
he just slammed the door on him.
yeah, he like wouldn't even talk to him. So
yeah, but he maybe
that's
he was
so
just
much
having a
account-
bad hour
Yeah.
or something. It's like, oh, maybe he like walked past a photo of Johnny and like it hit him hard or something. And today's the day when Pete's showing up to join the FF. God, I hate Pete.
Ben
Yeah.
still
certainly, if anything, this rings a little truer.
but Ben still blames himself for
yeah,
the death.
It's not an anti-Peter thing. I mean, this is the issue. That's the conclusion of the issue, the framing story. This is the story in which Peter is actually invited to join the team when they view the addendum to Johnny's video will that we saw in FF. This really should be read before FF, chronologically speaking. So yeah, they should have been released the other way around.
But it's not required. I mean, you don't have to read
no, it's not
this.
required. But
It's just extra. It's just extra story, and I think that's fine. I mean, it's a one-off. This is probably maybe a better .1 comic than
Yeah!
other .1s that
yeah,
we
like
covered.
this would have been like not a bad .1.
Yeah.
I mean, the first story here is drawn by Ty Templeton, and it's the story of Spidey and the Torch and the Thing. Now, Ty Templeton and Dan Slott actually collaborated on a Spidey Human Torch miniseries a couple of years ago, which is also very good, and you should seek out. It is good. It's a story of like Spidey and the Human Torch, like down through the decades, and culminates like with Spidey revealing his identity to the team. Like it's a good mini. Then the second one is probably I think my favorite one is the second one. Is drawn by Nuno Platti, and this is the Invisible Woman centered story.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Oh,
The Torch and the Invisible Woman face off against the Frightful Four, and they essentially defeat them when after Spidey gets caught up in the conflict when he swings by and pranks Johnny by whipping his trousers off with a web line.
yeah.
Johnny's like, you don't go into battle without your pants on. It's a guy thing, okay? And then the Invisible Woman essentially wins the fight by making all of the Frightful Four's trousers invisible.
And then goes to
Oh.
jail.
Oh, God,
Yes, and is then taken into jail along with them for indecent exposure.
I was gonna say
And what's great is they really like give her a hard time too, because like, yeah, what if they're going commando?
yeah. What if there were kids present? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Fantastic car right now, young lady.
Yeah, that's great.
Now let us never speak of it again.
Yeah.
And then the final story is the Reed-centric one with Stefano Caselli, who we know from the last story arc, the Spider Slayer story arc, on the book On the Art.
I liked that story actually. I think that was my favorite.
That was really good.
Yeah, well, ultimately it's just because it showed Johnny as more than the prankster that the first two stories do just define him as. You know, I don't think you really learn anything about Johnny in those stories. Those are just pranks. But this one is like, hey, Johnny is actually pretty bright, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that it illustrates that for Peter too, and as well, and I think it's a nice sort of human moment for Reed as well, because there's kind of that wahoo moment.
It's a story about.
Yeah.
I suppose the more I think about it, it's a story about the different ways that the Johnny and Peter's relationship goes, like where they are partners in crime and pranks in one, and they're friendly rivals in another, and then they're adventurers in the third. But it's also a story about the different ways that Spider-Man interacts with the Human Torch. How he's like he's a brother. He has fun with Ben. Like Susie's big sister, and he sees her in this respectful sort of way. So he tells the story about the one time the tables were turned, and he views Reed as like science adventure wizard, which is something that he loves. So it's when he went on a scientific voyage with him. But it's also a story, again, kind of really, as I think about this, there's a hell of a lot of levels going on. It's also a story about the way the Human Torch interacts with these other members of the Fantastic Four as well. How he is constantly pranking Ben, how he gives his sister a hard time every time he gets the opportunity.
I really like the prank story, just for the fact that Ben's not being pranked, and he kind of misses getting pranked by Johnny, and then Johnny and Spidey team up and prank Ben. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's now that I've actually thought that through, there's like 3 separate levels everything in this comic works on.
Damn it, maybe this was better than I thought.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it is.
Damn it!
It sounds good to me. I don't know what your problem is.
I think you need to go back and read that Jimmy Olsen, because I think you're selling.
I know, maybe the Jimmy Olsen is good. Who knows? Question my
Maybe I should
reality.
go back and repaste mine together and reread it.
No.
I think it would be amiss, though, if we didn't mention that the art on the modern part of this is done by Marcos Martin, who...
Oh, yes, we wouldn't want to leave that out.
This is it!
Oh, God! This is his last issue! He's not doing any more after this!
What?
I'm appalled!
Oh.
Never
I
doing
forget
more?
what...
Well, I mean, never say never, but I mean, he's done.
Going
Yeah.
off to something else, I forget what.
Why?
I know, I am broken-hearted. Like, he should always draw this.
Yes.
He would always draw this, but this is his last issue. I mean, like, we've been working on the assumption that we've 3 issues rotating creative team. Like, the next 3 issues are going to be done by Humberto Ramos, and the next 3 after that are going to be Caselli on again, but Marcos isn't coming back for another 3 after that. He's going on to do something. Hang on, I got to look it up, actually. I might look up, see what it is that he's actually doing.
Broken-hearted.
What is it that he's going to do? He is going to do... Oh, come on. Just give it to me quickly here so I can get on with it. Crap, I can't find it offhand. Well, he's going to do something else. And he's not going to be on this. So just like... This is really good.
Yeah, better than I thought.
Yeah,
Fine.
Actually thinking through it, like the way it does operate on those 3 separate levels, and it's funny as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly the middle story, I think, with the pantsing. But and I think a bit of comedy. I mean, given that pranking and joking and like a funny antagonistic relationship is the way that Spider-Man and the Human Torch's relationship has been defined for the last 4 or 5 decades. That is the right way to, despite this being like an issue about the guy being dead and everybody being pretty depressed over that fact, this is still the right and respectful way to play it. It serves the character's relationship well by not being all morose about it, because that's never what those guys were about together.
Mm-hmm.
And it tells a selection of funny stories of things that happened to them rather than dwelling on that. And also, a bit of levity does not go amiss in amongst everything that's been happening to Spidey in previous issues of this as well.
Yeah.
This is a well-timed, well-chosen, well-judged, just respectful book that works on a lot more levels than you'd actually think about in a casual perusal. Yeah.
And it's been done before, but I just love that ending. That last shot with the hologram Johnny, and it just got to me. It just did. I just really love that.
Well, and that goes to that last line where he's like, gotcha.
Aww.
Like, yeah, I may have sniffled, so...
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's top quality stuff.
So.
JD, why do you have a problem with this issue?
Okay, now that we've explained it, I feel better. I don't hate it. I didn't hate it before. It was just kind of like, it seemed disjointed and late. And, like, I would have maybe been a little...
There. It is a little late.
It would have been better if this came out before FF. Like, if I would have read this before FF, then I would have been ready for FF. So now it's I had to kind of take myself back.
The thing about this and the FF, that even taken in conjunction with the FF, there is no moment in universe, like in story, as you read the comics, where it's like, Spidey, want to join the FF? Holy shit, Spidey's going to join the FF. That was all marketed and advertised ahead of time, so we never actually got a natural like moment in the story where the characters came to that conclusion. Now, the moment is essentially at the end of this comic, but I would it would never have happened. But I almost feel like I would have liked to have read this issue not knowing that Spider-Man was going to join the FF.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have...
I mean, it doesn't feel like it's been written that way or anything.
Now, is the rest of the issues going to go side by side with the FF, or is this just
basically.
like a...
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
Spidey will be off doing his own thing, but there are definitely going to be some issues. I think some issues in, I think May at least, where he is going to be with the FF in his white.
Yeah,
and black
next issue
Yeah.
even teases him being in
Oh,
the
yeah,
FF
that's right, yeah.
costume.
Yeah, I
See?
mean,
Oh,
Yeah,
Spider-Man apparently is pulling a Wolverine, and he's on like 5 teams now. So
Yeah.
that is the one thing you
just
kind
wait.
of have to
Just
overlook,
as long as
so.
he doesn't get to Deadpool status.
well, they're pulling back on Deadpool though. I mean,
It really
they
pulled
did
back
cancel
on
one of his
two.
of his series. Well,
Oh,
but then
they-
he's getting the Fear Itself mini though.
Yeah, but that's people are looking at that and going, Dr. McNinja, awesome.
Yeah, I know. And then hopefully they'll bring him on for one of the
Ever.
primary Deadpool titles. That would be great. So, apparently Dr. McNinja.
Oh, just like when I have the letters page open here as well. You remember when a couple of shows ago when I was talking about the way that the tears of that guy crying about the Hobgoblin's death sustained me? Well, there's a letter in here where it's like it's like what? It's like 4 paragraphs long, complaining about how Disney have obviously pressured Marvel into advertising the new Tron film via Spider-Man's new suit.
What?
Fuck off!
Are you
They are
serious? What a
Fuck
jerk.
off, you paranoid idiot!
Wow.
I mean,
QQ
suffice it
more,
to
I
say
say.
the response to the letter is a little more
Yeah.
than my own. But they're saying that basically it's 4 paragraphs. They're taking 4 paragraphs to saying no. We designed it substantially before then. Shut up.
Well, and no. You know
That
what?
is
No
like
and no.
the pinnacle of like paranoid fanboy against the world. Oh, big corporations are evil. Disney's going to ruin my Marvel nonsense.
Marvel.
Anyway, that's it. That's
But Disney hasn't really even touched. I mean, as
No,
far as
they
I know,
haven't.
like I have
Disney-
not.
Yeah, Disney have been Disney bought Marvel because Marvel was doing well. They didn't buy Marvel because they feel they needed to change a load of shit about it.
You know what? If
They're
anything,
letting Marvel be Marvel.
If
Their
any-
ownership.
yeah, if anything, Marvel has benefited because
Yeah.
now they have the benefit of like the Disney networks to pump their shows out onto. So, you know, and it gives them more cap. I mean, and as far as I can tell, like I said, like the comics haven't changed. Like I haven't noticed the comics being more kiddie or pulling back.
They're
or
going
anything.
Oh,
to
no.
start publishing. They're going to start publishing like Pixar comics now as well. There's a Cars comic coming up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you need
Nope,
to
that's dumb.
focus something on the children.
yeah.
Maybe if they get all the Disney properties over to Marvel, I could finally buy Darkwing Duck.
Hey.
Hey.
Good luck with that. So, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Well, it'll have to happen eventually.
Once
yeah.
the rights maybe expire or something, though.
Yeah, that's all it is. We're just waiting for
God.
the.
Man,
Uh,
I want a Spider Ham and Darkwing Duck team up stat.
Yes!
That would be
Oh
so fun.
my God! Yes!
That would be kind
This
of
must
awesome.
be.
That would be awesome.
Oh, the possibilities!
Dan Slott can write it. That would be fantastic.
Okay. Well, this has been your slightly depressing. Although we didn't go short. I mean, we managed to like
No,
pull
we
out.
did that wrong.
No, we managed to pull out a whole episode for you. I do want to mention a couple of things. One, of course, we always mention Comic News, International Comic News Eye. We're affiliated with them. Still, occasionally, I post that we have a show there. I'm supposed to do that, and Brian probably screams every time that I don't post it there. But I got a new computer, and yeah. Anyway, I can't figure out how to do it again. So, but we thank them, and they're awesome, and you can check them out for all of your comic book news. I do also want to mention that there are other shows on the network, and one place you can go to get all of them is iTunes. So you can search for TF Radio on iTunes, and we actually have all of our shows listed there. That's this show, Fanboy Versus, Radio Free Cybertron. You've got Superhero Time, Outside the Cage, New Soundwave, which I was on this past week. And
Me too.
as well. Talked about the 3DS.
3DS, boys.
Hell yes.
Oh, I have had a go on a 3DS.
So I looked at one at the store, and I almost vomited. So.
Oh, really? You didn't
So
agree
the
with
3D
you?
works pretty well.
It's not bothering me, and I'm playing like Ridge Racer on it, and everybody told me you're gonna get motion sickness, and I haven't got motion sickness yet.
It took me a second anyway. Like I had to stand in front of it and then look at it for a second, and then my eyes came into focus. I'm like, oh, I'm okay.
If you have it at highest settings, though, I feel a little weird. I was like, I gotta stop looking at this. Like halfway is where I keep it.
I've only had a brief go on it, but so I haven't. But I could. It doesn't make any sense. But while looking at it, the feeling I get is I could see how somebody could get a headache.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, I haven't yet, though. I do feel compelled to crack it open to let out the evil spirits that must surely live within.
There have been a couple people who have said that. I think Gail Simone said something like that as well.
It's the devil. It's the devil.
I mean, there's no other possible explanation.
But I need an old priest and a young priest.
Christ compels you.
Yeah. So, but you can go. There's actually a link if you go to the website tfradio.net. There's a link to our iTunes link, but you can go to iTunes as well. Download all our shows there. So if you've got iPod, iPhone, iPad, yes, you can get our shows there. In
You want the
video,
easy way? You type in Brian Kilby's name in the search bar, and they all come up.
there you go. I
Yep.
mean, that's pretty simple. And it's not just audio; it's video as well. You can get the video shows there as well. So I mean,
Yeah, you have to get the video to see Nicole tear up that comic.
Yeah, I mean,
that's like
if you are listening
beautiful.
to this show, do yourself a favor. Go to iTunes, go to the website, go to blip.tv. There's a link for that as well at the website. Download the video version of this show and watch Nicole destroy a comic book.
Wow, what is she gonna tear up next week?
You want? I can set it on
You know.
fire if you want.
Wow. No, I don't recommend that. Please.
Well, that's for next week. You're going to have to one-up
Yeah, I
yourself.
mean, you gotta top. Now you gotta
set
top
it on
it.
fire, man.
So, anyway, so that's it. And again,
I should say these are my opinions. They don't reflect these guys
no.
or any of our
Neither of
sponsors.
these,
Any of-
Jeff.
or Comic News Eye or any of our affiliates or sponsors. So,
It's my opinion. Okay.
but again, hey, so that's our show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus with your hosts, J.D. Church, Ender, Chris Triplett, Chris McFeely, and Brian Kilby. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Copyright 2010 Radio Free Cybertron.